Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the CoStar Layoff Worker Pre-Layoff Workshop today. Again, my name is Kathleen Brannigan, and I am with the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, and I will be introducing each entity as they come on. Today we have, we're going to be talking about the WIOA grant, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and I will be covering that. And then we are going to be covering information with regards to the Illinois Department of Employment Security, and we will cover some of the healthcare information that is covered by the Department of Labor. So we're going to get started with the WIOA grant. A little bit about the Workforce Partnership. So the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership, known as a partnership, represents the public workforce system for Cook County. And what we do is we facilitate workforce development activities throughout the city of Chicago and all of suburban Cook County. We are the second largest workforce innovation area in the country, as well as we're a not-for-profit using the acronym LWIA. We actually also take in various foundational grants, so we work on different workforce initiatives that are focused on demand sectors, different groups of people that require different things. So in terms of getting people prepared for work and back to work. So what we do is we administer a federal grant. This is a federal program. It's administered through the Department of Labor, the U.S. Department of Labor, and then it's facilitated into all of the states, and our state administrator is the Department of Commerce, and we work very closely with them. And they oversee that grant for the entire state. Within Cook County, you can see we're pretty big. So we have actually 10 workforce centers. There are 5 located in the city of Chicago, 5 located in suburban Cook. We have 49 affiliate agencies that we work with, and they are the workforce development professionals who actually work with the public, the people that come into our workforce centers. We also work with a business intermediary that works with the employer business community. We work with a lot of people, as you can see. We touch over 140,000 people come through our centers per year. And again, we're working on various workforce initiatives that are based on labor market information for our city and for our suburban Cook and regional area to help people obtain the education and skills they need to compete in today's workforce environment. So the goal today of this webinar is to provide information and resources on the Dislocated Worker Program. And the Dislocated Worker Program has been around a long time. That's the legal term, is a dislocated worker. What happens is companies, small, medium, and large, are required or obligated to advise the state when there's going to be a layoff and people are going to be impacted. And we receive notice of that, and then we work very closely with our state agency, our representatives, and we work to contact the companies, conduct outreach, and connect with the HR departments. And we were able to do so and actually conducted 2 events last week for your company. And your company then requested that we conduct a webinar because many of you were unable to attend. So we're very happy to be able to do that. And also, if there are people who were going to attend today and are unable, certainly share this information for them. You'll be able to go back up on Illinois WorkNet, and you'll be able to view the webinar, so you can share that information with them, as well as if you want to review again, you want to to listen to the webinar again. So again, this webinar is meant to advise people are being impacted by a layoff of the job resources, educational and training opportunities that can help people with job assistance, job placement, and training. And training is related to employment and demand sectors and demand occupations. So a little bit about this federal grant. Again, I've mentioned that it's available through the Department of Labor. The official term is dislocated worker. Again, there's information. It provides overview. There's a brochure that talks about the WIOA program. It's been around a long time. Again, it provides employment assistance, employment placement, and training opportunities to people that are separated from their jobs. And this training is based on key sector training. So there's demand sectors that I'll talk about in a little bit. Also, if you'll notice, the grant is administered by the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and then it's facilitated through the state of Illinois. So a little bit of terminology for you about dislocated workers. When you've been advised, hopefully by letter, you received a letter or a notice from your company. Please keep that. It's a time to get organized with a file and a folder. When you go into a workforce center, for lack of a better word, it is verification, like a ticket. It verifies the layoff and that company layoff, so that's something that you do want to do when you go into that workforce center. You want to advise your career coach, the people that you work with for intake, that you've been dislocated from CoStar. So having that letter just makes it go a little faster. You know, again, this is a definition of what a dislocated worker is and the goal of the grant. So I won't go over that there, but you can read along on your own there. So there's different levels to the grant. The first level is really providing universal services to all job seekers. So what that means is that any one of us can go into a workforce center and utilize that center for job search. There's many people who feel pretty self-sufficient, you know, have stayed on top of the job trends, things like that, so they feel pretty good about their job search and what they need to do, and so they don't require hands-on, one-on-one work. This would be at this initial level, which is career services. So the important part is that you can go into a resource center and you can utilize that place for your job search. So it's utilizing the computers that all have high-speed internet access. There's printers there, fax machines, phones, and individuals are able to use these services free of charge. There's no cost to it. I'm noticing a question from Jacqueline that she's asking if we live out of state, can we utilize these services? Yes. Again, this is a federal program, and this program is available in throughout the state. So if you live in Indiana or you live in Wisconsin, your unemployment will come from the state of Illinois because this is where you were introduced, where you were working, but you will access workforce services in the state where you live. It may sound a little bit different, but the acronym is WIOA, so that's Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, and you can Google that for your state, and it will direct you to the resources. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So again, you can go into Workforce Center. These are some of the things that you can use. You can attend an orientation that will talk about becoming an eligible WIOA client. You can use that center for job search and placement assistance by way of job boards. There's available labor market and employment statistics information, which is all available on Illinois WorkNet, which you're on right now. You can also access training provider information, which is also available on Illinois WorkNet. Some of the offices are partnered with our unemployment insurance office, IDES. We will certainly have information, but IDES is also going through some realignment and changes. So you will, however, if it is an office, say for instance up in our Arlington Heights office, we are still partnered with IDES. But if you go to an office that doesn't have that, doesn't mean we have the information or can't direct you. And again, you can attend. There are workshops and hiring events and job fairs that you can become aware of and attend without going through any application eligibility process. The next level is becoming a WIOA client, and we highly encourage everybody to do so. We have many people that we work with who are have been successful in going through retraining for jobs and getting back out into the job force. That's what this grant is all about. And it's actually the bigger piece of this situation that you're going through. We all, at different times, have potentially gone through a layoff, and most people's attention right away is their fiscal, monetary situation, which we all have mortgages, things like that. But it isn't. Probably the bigger piece to the puzzle is the job search, and that's what's so important about becoming a WIOA client, is that it can get you on the path, move you along that path, and then get you beyond the path into a new job that is viable and provides career advancement, et cetera, for you. So we recommend that you do access a workforce center. You can do so. We're going to go through how you find a workforce center near you, but you'll call that workforce center. The information is going to be available on Illinois WorkNet. And you want to locate one that is close and convenient, because you're going to be setting up a job search schedule. So, for instance, Monday you're at the workforce center, and Tuesday and Wednesday you're at a job club, and possibly Thursday you are at a city or community college because you've found a club or a networking group, or you're looking, you found a place where you can do job search over there, and then Friday, you're potentially somewhere else connecting and looking for work. So important to do that, and the Workforce Center can be the nucleus of those efforts. But once you get in there, you'll attend an orientation session. They're going to do a deep dive of the paperwork that needs to be brought back. Some of that paperwork includes identification, verification of the layoff, things like that. And what they'll do is you'll be assigned a career coach, and that's the important part. If there's one piece that I want to point out, it's this one-on-one career counseling. So you'll be assigned a career coach who will work with you one-on-one to work with you, really meeting you where you're at. So you may have a resume, you may not have a resume, it may need work. We're there to help you do that. We're there to be that expert set of eyes that can help you revise that and really produce a resume that you feel really good about in reintroducing yourself to the workforce. We can help you in the Workforce Center get prepared for, job interviews, really understanding job search, all the components to that that help give you the best outcomes. A lot of times people will stay home and pound away on their computer, and the yield to that, the outcome to that is not so great. So that's why we really encourage you to come into the Workforce Center, go through the orientation, become one of our clients, and we're going to take very good care of you in moving you along that job search path to employment. As you go through that process when you're in the Workforce Center, it may involve additional education, training. to get you to a place that you've been thinking about, or that you realize that you need to do that. For instance, say you're in IT and you have already accomplished and completed some different certifications at a different level, but you've been out of it for a while. And as you know, IT is a very rapid changing in the industry, and important to stay current with that. You can access training grants through the Workforce Innovation Act grants, okay, that can provide tuition support, tuition subsidy up to $8,000 in Cook County. So that's very important. Now, the training programs are all certified by the state of Illinois. It is this first one here, occupational skills training, so it's called an individual training account. And it's focused on the demand sectors that I talked about earlier. So it's healthcare, IT, transportation and logistics, manufacturing, retail, hospitality. And under that, there's many occupations that you can train for. And this is important because if you're in a situation where you've been thinking about going back to school, this would be the time to do it. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that you can take advantage of, and really is really a silver lining to the situation. So we've had many people that in working with their career coach have realized, hey, I really need to add on to my skill set. I need to develop some new skills to be more marketable, and I'm going to do that. And they can do that with this assistance. So it's a great opportunity. You know, again, this is available through this WIOA grant. The training dollars are different. They can vary by regional workforce area, but each area does provide training dollars. In Cook County, it's up to $8,000. So that's a great opportunity that you really should look into. And once you get in that workforce center working with the career coach, they'll direct you and help you select something that you're suitable for, because it's something that we, you know, obviously if you're going into healthcare, you have to like people, is usually what I say. It's important. So suitability, you know, in order to complete and be successful in that new occupation is important. There are some other things that are definitely available, like on-the-job training program. So there's a placement program. It's a business service incentive. Again, we talked about skill upgrading and retraining. There's entrepreneurial information available on Illinois WorkNet. You know, again, an emphasis on job readiness and training. You know, potentially some people might need some bridge programs, you know, to help them in some different ways, and we can help you do that. And then there's, again, this is a business service tool that is an employer incentive. So lots of things to learn about, and you know, again, once you get in that workforce center, we're going to take good care of you and walk you through the process. We have responsibility for outcomes, so it's important for us to see you through the process and be back working in the job force. The other one thing I want to mention about the training vouchers is that training, again, is focused on vocational training. It's not meant for completing a 4-year degree or a graduate degree. So I just want to point that out. So I'm going to move along now. So one of the tools that all of our clients use is Illinois WorkNet. Illinois WorkNet, you're already on it. You've been up on it. You've registered for the webinar, so that's great. You've probably delved into it or have done a cursory review. So lots of information up there at your fingertips, available 24/7, really meant to help you put together your individual employment plan and move you forward. So if you forget everything today, you want to go over it again, you know, it can become a daily tool, and you can access the component laid off worker company specific page that will take you through all the information that we're talking about today, will be available to you on the company-specific page. But as you can see, it's just, it can help you get started. It's going to talk about finding the right job. So, you know, all of our training, our certified training programs are available on Illinois WorkNet. So you can go up, you can do research, you can put together, you know, start to map out your individual employment plan, what kind of training program you're looking to embark on, what that occupation looks like, what kind of training it is, how long it takes, what the cost is, and where can I go. So all that information is available at your fingertips, which is a great tool. Again, talking a little bit more about the Laid Off Worker Step Guide. So again, it's a step guide that can help you advance in your current career field or research a new career fields, and training can help you do that. So, you know, really important things, really important tools that can help you in this process. So here's our Workforce Center, Illinois WorkNet Service Finder. So we provide that information. You can search for a WorkNet center near you, resource center near you, by going up online. You'll enter your zip code, and it will pull up all of the workforce centers near you and affiliated partners. So the important thing is to find a center that's convenient, not too far, and that you feel good about. So when you do have that opportunity, if you happen to, and you have free time during the week at all, feel free to, you know, to go into a workforce center and check it out. So I have come to the end of our portion here on the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. Again, I'm happy to see everybody here today. We're expecting to see you in the Workforce Center. We're going to take good care of you. And I just want to mention, after we complete today the webinar, there's a survey that we would really appreciate you filling out. But it helps us finance the activities, the workforce development activities that you're interested in and that you'll be engaging with. So we appreciate it. So next up is going to be our representative from the Department of Labor, Lisa Strongneck, and she will be taking you through health insurance and protecting your benefits as you move through this transition. And then if you have any questions, please feel free to use that chat pod, and we'll answer your individual questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Hello, everyone. My name is Lisa Strongneck. I'm a benefits advisor with the Chicago Regional Office for the U.S. Department of Labor Employee Benefit Security Administration. EBSA, as we call ourselves for short, enforces a law called ERISA, or the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974, which offers protections for both health and retirement plans. Since job loss affects benefits, I will provide an overview of the applicable provisions to assist you in making the best possible choices with respect to your health and retirement. We'll begin with health coverage and end with retirement benefit reminders. There are several options to consider for health coverage. In the next slides, we'll go over different options, including HIPAA special enrollment rights, young adult coverage rights, Cobra, and federal marketplace coverage, or Obamacare, as some people like to call it. HIPAA, or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, is the law that has historically offered protections to participants switching from coverage under one plan to another. While the requirement has gone away, HIPAA certificates of credible coverage may still be provided voluntarily by some health plans and insurance carriers as a way to provide notice of your last day of active employee benefits. Keep in mind that your last day of active coverage can be as soon as midnight on the last day of your employment, but it may continue through the end of the month or the end of the pay period if your coverage was already paid through a later date. And thanks to the recent health insurance reform provisions of the Affordable Care Act, HIPAA now provides that when enrolling under a new employer-sponsored group health plan, coverage must become effective no later than 90 days after a new employee satisfies the plan eligibility requirements. Previously, it was permissible for employers to allow enrollment as of the first of the month after employee completed 90 days of service or longer, but it is now limited to no more than 90 days, period. So that's something to keep in mind moving forward to a next employer's plan. Another provision of HIPAA, called special enrollment, allows someone who qualifies for a spouse's employer's plan but previously declined coverage under that plan to enroll in coverage outside of the plan's normal open enrollment period when there is a loss of other coverage. And this can be a very cost-effective alternative to Cobra if the other employer-sponsored plan, such as a spouse's employer's plan or parent's employer's plan if you are younger than age 26, if that plan would share the cost of the health insurance premiums for active employees and dependents. Special enrollment requests may be required in writing, so be sure to check with the employer to understand the plan's requirements. Coverage under the plan must take effect no later than the first of the month after the request is made. So even though you have 30 days to notify the other plan, remember to request special enrollment prior to the start of the coming month, if possible, to avoid a possible longer break in your coverage. Cobra is something that's often used in conversation as a plan of insurance or type of coverage, but it is an acronym for the name of the law which was passed in 1986 and applies to employers with 20 or more full-time employees. The Cobra law allows you to continue coverage under the same employer group health plan offered to active employees on a month-by-month basis for up to 18 months at your own cost. Because Cobra is a direct continuation of the same plan you had as an active employee, everything about the coverage stays the same, including the proof of insurance card, your doctor or provider network for the plan, and any progress that you may have made towards an annual deductible. Cobra allows independent elections, which means if your employer offers medical, dental, and vision coverage as separate plans, you can elect to continue just the medical but not the dental, or vice versa. I mentioned that Cobra can last for up to 18 months, but you should know that it may end sooner in some situations. For instance, if the employer ends the group health plan or shuts down operations completely. In such cases, there may be no plan left in existence to continue under Cobra. Assuming that the plan is left in place, the one thing that can, and usually does, change with Cobra is the cost that you are used to paying for the coverage. So if the employer covered a portion of the premium for active employees and then deducted the rest from your paycheck, under Cobra, they are allowed to pass along both the employees and the employer's cost plus a 2% administrative fee. But that can be less, if the employer would choose to be more generous. For instance, under a severance, they can charge you less. But remember, even if they don't charge less than what the maximum allowable is under the law, you can reduce costs through independent elections. And just as you can choose to continue a dental plan but not the vision plan and only pay for what you choose, if you have family coverage, you may also continue to continue just the coverage for one family member rather than the whole family. And then the amount that you pay will depend on what you actually elect. You will receive a notice in the mail with all the information you need to decide about continuing coverage under Cobra, including the monthly cost and where to send the payments. And this notice should arrive within 44 days. This Cobra election notice packet, as it's called, will either have the return address of your employer if they do administer Cobra in-house, or it may have the return address of a third party that they've hired to take care of compliance for them. Usually it would be someone like a payroll service company, for instance ADP, or a specialized third-party Cobra service provider such as Cobra Source. And keep in mind that you will have 60 days to respond about electing Cobra, starting from the later of the date that your active employee benefits ended or the date of the notice. If you don't want Cobra, you can just let your 60 days to decide run out and don't respond. You cannot be required to send payment with your election, and so if you do elect Cobra, you will have 45 days to make your initial payment. And depending on how long this whole process takes, you could end up owing for something like 3 months of coverage up front. Going forward, the grace period for your monthly payment amount is 30 days within that month, but the due date is usually going to be the first of the month in which you will receive the coverage. And also keep in mind that the sooner you elect and pay for Cobra, the sooner your benefits will show up as active again. Because of the administrative time delay involved with sending the notice and the time that you have to make your decision, your coverage may show up as temporarily canceled until your payment is received and posted. However, Cobra is the only coverage option that will cover you going back to the date that active employee benefits ended, leaving you, after all, with no break in coverage. And any other new plan that you sign up for would only cover you going forward from the date of enrollment. And there are two final considerations to keep in mind about Cobra. If you happen to be in that temporary interruption of coverage time frame where you're still waiting on your election notice or still taking some time to make up your mind because perhaps you're interviewing for a new job and you don't know whether your new employer's coverage will kick in before you even need to end up electing Cobra. If something should happen in the meantime and you have an emergency, you would just want to make sure you let your doctor or provider's office know that you're in the process of electing Cobra, and that way you could maybe save yourself some trouble because they can maybe hold off on billing the coverage until it shows up as active again instead of billing you directly if they try to bill the insurance and see that it's canceled. Otherwise, your other option, for instance, if you have to fill a prescription or something like that, is to pay up front and submit your out-of-pocket costs for reimbursement once the coverage shows up as active again. There aren't, unfortunately, any pharmacies that will dispense medication without a payment up front, but instead of going through the normal paper procedure with your insurance carrier to submit claims for reimbursement, you may want to try something that I've heard has worked. I have not verified it personally, so I don't know, but I have heard from people that pharmacies are now actually going to give you a refund on the spot. If you can go back and once your coverage is active, if they can run the prescription through and receive payment, then they may issue you a refund on the spot. So that could be another option. The other thing, especially if you are interviewing for another position and you may have coverage coming up, you may want to use this notice an election time delay to your advantage. Because you have the 60 days to elect and then the 45 days to make your initial payment, you can kind of stretch your time to get the Cobra, have the coverage in place there if you need it. By electing. If you elect and then you never pay, there's no obligation. But if you're, interviewing, there is one thing to note now. It's good to have coverage in place in order to avoid the new IRS shared responsibility tax exemption for, or rather the shared responsibility tax burden that we all have, that if you do not have coverage in place, you'll be taxed for every month that you don't have coverage. But there is an exemption listed on the IRS website. And one of those exemptions happens to be that if there is a break in coverage in between two plans of less than 3 consecutive months, then you will be exempt from the tax. So that's something to check out on irs.gov. And keep that in mind if if you don't end up needing the Cobra during that time because you don't go and see the doctor or anything like that, then you could end up saving yourself some money. And now, if anyone is younger than age 26, you will want to pay special attention to the information about this option. Thanks to health insurance reform, one of the new requirements is that employers allow adult-dependent children up to age 26 to join or remain covered under a parent's employer's plan, even if they are married, financially independent, not living with their parents, not full-time students, or even if eligible to enroll in their own employer's plan in most cases. The exception to that last one would be if the employer's plan has something called grandfathered status. And adult children may be enrolled during a plan's open enrollment period or during other special enrollment opportunities such as loss of other coverage, as we discussed earlier with the HIPAA special enrollment. And that employer or insurance company can provide the details, of course, on what is required to request that special enrollment. Another alternative that we all have now is shopping for coverage through the new health insurance marketplace, also known as Obamacare. It is still possible to apply for financial need-based coverage directly through the state or to purchase individual coverage directly through an insurance company or broker, but people who purchase through the marketplace benefit from a screening process that automatically evaluates you for financial need-based coverage provided through the state, such as CHIP or Medicaid, or for premium assistance or tax credits, which are available for enrollees of marketplace plans to help offset the cost of these plans. This slide goes over some basic facts about shopping for coverage in the marketplace. It is a new way to find quality health coverage as well as dental coverage. There are several ways to apply. You can do so online, by mail, by phone, or in person. The website and phone number are provided here for you. And even though the open enrollment period recently ended for 2016 in February, you can apply if you have a qualifying event through special enrollment rights. And the new open enrollment season for the health insurance marketplace plans won't be available until later this year for the 2017 plan year. The marketplace will also tell you, of course, if you qualify for free or low-cost coverage available through Medicaid or CHIP, under which plans you can enroll any time of year. There's no special enrollment period or anything like that, in addition to letting you know if you qualify for premium assistance or tax credits. And for all Illinois residents, outside of this particular website, healthcare.gov, which is the federal website, you can also visit getcoveredillinois.gov. And so that's all three words spelled out with no spaces, getcoveredillinois.gov. Or you can also call toll-free 866-311-1119 from Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The reason I bring up this website through the state is that my understanding is that the Illinois website is most helpful for screening someone about qualifying for financial assistance, and that the federal website, healthcare.gov, provides better details about the available coverage options, and so it's most helpful for comparison shopping or determining if your current doctors are in network with any of the marketplace plans. There are several very important clarifications with respect to the decision to replace Cobra with marketplace coverage. If initially someone signs up for Cobra but then later decides it's too expensive, or if initially you may have Cobra available at a lower cost under severance and then you would like to just decide you want to jump onto the marketplace plan because it's more cost effective and you haven't been able to find a new job with an employer who offers health benefits, or for whatever other reason you wish to end Cobra before your 18 months of coverage runs out, to switch to a marketplace plan, you should know the following: that this can only be done during marketplace open enrollment, even if your Cobra coverage hasn't run out. So that means you would have to wait, going back to this slide, to the open enrollment for 2017 in November. Also, flip back to our slide. If you end your Cobra coverage and apply for a marketplace plan during open enrollment, you may qualify for tax credits that can lower your monthly premiums and lower out-of-pocket costs. But if you end your Cobra coverage early outside of the marketplace open enrollment, you will not be able to enroll in the plan and receive the premium assistance or tax credits until the next open enrollment. So if you are still undecided about Cobra versus marketplace coverage, you should also know that there has been some recent clarification that if, for instance, someone enrolls on a medical plan through the marketplace and their former employer offered medical and dental options separately under Cobra, you can choose to enroll in the dental only for Cobra without affecting your eligibility for marketplace assistance towards the medical coverage. So as long as you do not enroll on another group medical plan, Cobra or otherwise, you can keep the subsidy under the marketplace plan, which you may qualify for. Otherwise, again, signing up for another medical plan after you have signed up for the marketplace medical coverage will cause you to lose any financial assistance towards the marketplace coverage. And just keep in mind again that you can shop around and figure out if your doctors are in network, and just try to do some research during this time period while you're waiting for your Cobra election notice or while you have your 60 days to respond, so that you can be comfortable with your decision. And now quickly I'll go through the other options in case you're not familiar with them. Medicaid is a state-based program that you will automatically be screened for in applying for marketplace coverage. It is free or low-cost care based on income and family size, and you can apply for and enroll in Medicaid during any time of year. There's no special enrollment period. And if you qualify, your coverage can also begin immediately. If you qualify based on your income, then you will be given information on how to apply. Another program you will automatically be screened for is CHIP, which is low-cost health coverage for families with income that's above the limit for Medicaid. And it does cover parents and pregnant women in addition to children. For CHIP, each state has its own rules and qualifying guidelines for the program. For Illinois, the website you can visit for more information outside of just calling or visiting healthcare.gov is www.insurekidsnow.gov, or the phone number listed here on the slide. And before we leave the topic of health insurance, I can open it up to questions. Otherwise, I can address those at the end. But I do see that there are some questions that came in from Nikki. Is being laid off considered a qualifying event? And the answer is yes. Under Cobra, for instance, any kind of event, including a layoff or voluntary, even if you voluntarily left a company or if they terminated you, it's still considered a qualifying event when it results in a loss of your eligibility for coverage. Normally, employers have eligibility rules that they put in writing in a document called a summary plan description. This is a document that you usually receive during open enrollment season every year. It discusses what is covered and not covered under your plan, and it should also give you information on eligibility that's based on employment factors. For instance, being a full-time employee working X number of hours per week. They can also distinguish between classes of employee, for instance, salaried versus hourly, union versus non-union, and so on, for eligibility purposes. So if in connection with a termination of employment or reduction in hours worked, you lose your health insurance eligibility, that is considered a qualifying event for Cobra. And the second part of that question from Nikki, since my official termination date is not until April 15th, do I need to wait until that date to apply for a marketplace plan? Actually, what I would recommend, and what thank you for reminding me to mention this, when you do contact the marketplace, it's a good idea to know that if you contact them between the 1st and the 15th of the month, they can sign you up for coverage starting the 1st of the following month. Meaning, if you contact them before April 15th, they can sign you up for coverage starting May 1st. I'm not certain, you may want to get clarification from your HR department on whether your benefits will end as an active employee on your last day of coverage on midnight, or if they're paid through the end of the pay period or the end of the month. And that will help you to decide when you might want to contact the marketplace about coverage options. I think that, safely you can contact them even this month and, just get that information ahead of time if you're the kind of person who really likes to plan and find everything out immediately. It really shouldn't hurt you because, the cutoff date to sign up for coverage effective May 1st would be April 15th. So if you contact them at any point prior to that, you can always request a possible enrollment date of May 1st. And I believe that if something ends up happening where you end up finding a new plan of coverage or getting hired through a new employer prior to that date, you can always contact them and cancel. So if there are no further questions, we'll move on to some retirement plan reminders. These are brief but very important, and regardless of the type of plan, it is a great idea to keep your address updated with the plan if you move so that you can continue to receive plan mailings and that also the plan knows how to find you when it comes time to pay benefits. Here at the Employee Benefits Security Administration, benefits advisors such as myself take a lot of phone calls from the public, and one of the most common type of calls we get from people who are nearing retirement age is, I can't locate my former employer's pension or retirement plan. How can I apply for benefits? And it is a reality today that companies often go through mergers and acquisitions, or they shut down, go out of business, and then, a couple years down the road, it becomes really difficult to find where to go to apply for benefits. A lot of us probably think, too, that it's kind of happening automatically. The employer will reach out to you when it's time to pay benefits. They can't do that unless they have your current contact information on file. So even though it may be slightly counterintuitive to stay in touch with a former employer, it really is worthwhile to do that, especially if you move. Keep in mind that you want to update your contact information so that they can continue to reach you about these important plan annual notices that must be sent out, or to give you information on your benefit payment options when the time comes, especially if you leave your money with the plan. I understand that there was a 401k plan available, and even though this type of benefit plan differs from a traditional pension, the reminder to keep your address updated holds for both. For instance, with a traditional pension, normal retirement age for full benefits is usually age 65, but different plans offer different payment options. And so just like with health plans, the summary plan description document that I mentioned, retirement plans must also be administered according to a set of written rules. And if you don't already have a copy of the summary plan description, or SPD for short, or maybe you misplaced it or you don't remember receiving a copy as a new hire, you may also want to ask your human resources or benefits person for a copy. That way you can have that for your reference. And with the 401k, you actually may have a bit more flexibility in deciding whether to leave your money with the plan or to roll it over into your next employer's plan or to an individual retirement account with a bank of your choosing or something like that. But again, check the SPD for the rules so you understand what your benefit payment options are. Many employers do allow you to roll money over after you separate from service, but others require that the benefits be left there until retirement age. And you should know that even if a rollover distribution or cash out options exist, you should be aware that you may be taxed on those benefits since usually they're contributed pre-tax, and you would owe an additional tax penalty if you cash out the plan prior to age 59 and a half because of IRS rules. So if you can afford to do so, it's definitely better to roll it over rather than to distribute or cash it out because that way you can avoid that additional tax penalty. And so that's it for the retirement plan reminders as well. I'd like to leave you with contact information because my agency does field many phone calls from employees concerning questions about their health or retirement benefits. You can call us toll-free Monday through Friday. You can also submit a website inquiry at www.dol.gov/EBSA or it might be Ask EBSA that you can type there and get directly to our web inquiry intake form. But on our homepage here, you would want to look for a brochure, in case there's a lot of information today. If you'd like to refresh your memory about it, there's a red brochure entitled Retirement and Healthcare Coverage Questions and Answers for Dislocated Workers. It is available in English and Spanish, and it is actually conveniently located in the Files pod of this webinar for you to download or access. And if there are no further questions right now, I want to thank everyone for their attention and wish you also good luck in your future endeavors.
Thank you, Lisa. I just want to remind everyone again, as Lisa had mentioned, that this information is available down in the below the chat pod. Also, you can access Illinois workNet after this webinar is over and go to the company-specific page for CoStar, and this information will be available there. So we're going to continue to move along, and our representative from the Illinois Department of Employment Security will now present information on how to access unemployment insurance and all the details with regards to that. So I'd like to introduce Jeffrey Routier from IDES. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I just posted a website for frequently asked questions that you can also review as I'm going along with this portion of the webinar. So just some FYI information. Unemployment insurance is a state-administered program, and we do that through IDES. And just one thing for you to note, that the employer is the one that pays the taxes in this case. In the other programs we talked about, it does come out of your taxes, but this is the exception to the rule, and the employers do pay into it. Okay. So you must have been paid $1,600 or more in wages during your base period for insured work, and at least $440 of your base period wages are paid outside the calendar quarter in which your wages were highest. I'm gonna break this down a little bit momentarily. Okay. So in this case, I know one of you said that your last day of work was going to be in April. I don't know if that's the case for everyone, but if your benefit year begins in April, then your base period will actually be January through December of 2015, not 14 in this case. But if for some reason it is March of this year, then it would be October through September 30th, 2015. This is the time period, or the base period quarters, that they'll use in distinguishing how much you're going to receive in your unemployment. And also, one of the things you need to know is that it's based on it's going to be a 52-week period. Let's see. Okay, and within that 52-week period, you have 26 payable weeks of unemployment. If you look at this slide right here, you realize that your maximum amount could be $426 a month. The minimum amount would be $426 a week, and the minimum amount would be $51 a week. If you're claiming a spouse or dependent, it could be a little extra. Definitely you would want to claim your child. If you have a child you can claim, you receive a little more than a spouse. And if your spouse is also collecting unemployment and they are also claiming a dependent, you can only claim one child per household. Okay, this is information about how to file. So to file your unemployment insurance claim, you want to file online at www.ides.illinois.gov. Like I said, it's available at any time. If you're going to go through the local office, which I recommend that you do not go to the local office. It's a lot easier to just do your claim online. But you could go to the IDES website, and the link I sent will give you more information on that as well. If you have any questions, you can always call Claimant Services at 1-800-244-5631. And our hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., except for holidays. Things that you're going to need would be your Social Security card or driver's license or state ID. And definitely if you go into an unemployment office, you're going to need at least both of these, like a state ID and Social Security card, or they will not, they can give you some general information, but they can't look up information about your claim. Other things that you want to know before you file your claim online would be the name, address, and phone numbers of all the employers you've worked for in the past 18 months. So in this case, if it was only CoStar, you'd only have to have that, and that information would probably be in the system. The reason we do that is sometimes you might have employers that you've only worked for a short time and it was current, and that information might not be in our system yet. And just so you know, the reason for separation that you're going to indicate is laid off due to lack of work. Some people do state discharge when they mean laid off, and that'll actually put a stop in your claim because that means that you were fired from your job. Okay. Other information you're going to need to know when you're filing online is information about your pension or your retirement, and this includes Social Security. As I'd said before, if you're claiming your spouse, you're going to need their information and their Social Security number. And the same with the child. You'd need their information as well as their Social Security number. So if you did try to claim the same child as a spouse, it would cross-reference that information, and they would know that you're trying to claim the same child. So in that case, you would need to, you only need to be able to claim one child per, like I said, per filer. Excuse me. Okay, so here again is what I was talking about with your base period wages. Like I said, it's broken down into 4 calendar quarters, and I just showed you those calendar quarters, and it'll show you based on when your last day of work is, what month that is, and how the base period is going to fall. Now, mind you, when we're using your base period, you're locked in to that base period and those wages for the remainder of your claim, and that'll be a year from the time you open your claim and until a year after that. So it doesn't alter between the months. It's static. Okay. Payment type. You can either receive direct deposit or debit card. I highly recommend that you do direct deposit. It's a lot easier, and you're going to receive a debit card anyways, but you do not have to. You don't have to activate your debit card, so it's a lot easier just to utilize the direct deposit. So you'd have to provide that information to your bank. Okay, your first certification date, you cannot receive benefits for a week of unemployment until you have certified for that week. So opening a claim and certifying, 2 separate things. When you open your claim and everything's done, you will not receive any kind of payments until you actually certify. Now you're going to certify every other week, and when you do certify, it's going to ask you questions based on the 2-week period prior to your certification date. And that's why it's every other week, so you can, you know, include information for those periods. Now, the first time you certify, you're only going to receive a 1-week check, and the reason for that is the first week would be a wait week, and every other time you certify after that, it'll be a 2-week check. There's exceptions to that, and I'll go over that shortly. Also, your benefits are paid. It's between Sunday and Saturday of the week in question. So just keep that in mind when you're writing down your information for the weeks that you're certifying for. Here's an example of what you're going to receive in the mail. This is your UI finding letter. And it's kind of hard for me to see it on this one, but it actually breaks down the quarters they're going to be using. It's going to say how much you made in those quarters, which company you made that from. It's going to tell you what day is your first certification day, and it's going to tell you your weekly benefit amount, which is how much you'd receive per week, and your maximum benefit amount. So your maximum benefit amount, or MBA, is basically 26 times your weekly benefit amount. And after you use that amount, it will be exhausted for that benefit year. And you don't have to use all your benefits week by week. You can stagger that based on other employment, and I'll be going over that as well shortly. Okay, and this is just some of the information I had already gone over with you as well. So everything's here for you to review. Everything is online for you to review as well. So this is just kind of a, general overview. So I definitely hope that you review this information after you do your claim. Okay, so the best way to certify is via the internet, as well as doing your initial claim. And here you go at www.ides.illinois.gov. If you want to do it by phone, here's the number right here. It's 1-312-338-IDES or 4337. And that one's available from 5 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Also, if you have any questions at all while you're collecting unemployment, you can definitely call the Claimant Service Center at 1-800-244-5631. Remember, those hours are 8:30 to 5. This is what the initial screen is going to look like when you go to the IDES website. And if you look on the left here, this is the link that you're going to go to do your initial claim, and as well as do your certifications if you choose to do your certifications online, which is a lot easier, especially if you're computer savvy. Okay, this is what the second screen is going to look like. It's going to give you your initial information filing online, so it's going to help you through that. Definitely read all the information and check out the hyperlinks if you have any questions. Certification for benefits, that's going to be the next step. And like I told you, that's going to be every other week. So when you file, if you were to file this week, you would be doing your first certification two weeks from this period. Okay. Non-monetary eligibility requirements. So in this case, you have been involuntarily separated. You must be able and available and actively seeking work. I'm going to kind of go over what those indicate. You must complete registration in Illinois Job Link. Just so you know, Illinois Job Link is like a career builder, a monster site, and it's actually free to job seekers and it's free to employers, but it is a requirement that you do apply for Illinois Job Link. Again, as I had stated, you must serve one waiting week, and that's going to not show in this case in your first payment. You must certify every 2 weeks. Okay, so during each week, you must be willing, ready, and able to accept suitable work. And a lot of this is just on you to report it accurately. If we ever do an audit, an issue could arise if you were not actually able or available for the weeks in question. So here's an indicator of what would be an unavailable day. It would be if you're at home with a sick child or if you're on vacation. And another way to show that you're actively seeking work is that you are keeping a log of your job search activities. I'm going to show you in a minute what a work search record looks like, and this is going to be one of the things that you're going to be filling out week by week. There's also going to be an electronic copy as well in Illinois Job Link that you'll be filling out as well. Okay, so this, like I said, save your written and hold on to it for a year, your work search record, because if it could still be audited later. So you want to make sure that that's there to state that you're looking for work. And you can go onto the website, and in that one page I showed you, it did have a link to download work search records. And if you go into the office, you can also get one as well. And as I had stated, enter your work search in IJL. This is what the paper copy of your work search record is going to look like. We recommend that you do list at least 3 to 5 contacts per week. And remember, as when I stated week, it's Sunday to Saturday. That's the week that we use. So I mean, you can have as many as you want. Obviously, the more the more you have, the better. But at least 3 to 5, because if we do an audit and we see that there's 0 one week, that could definitely put a question on the week in which you didn't list anything. So it's very important that you're keeping this record, especially this one, as well as online. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, working and receiving unemployment. So you can do partial work, and that's great. But the things you want to keep in mind with partial work is that you can only earn up to 50% of your weekly benefit amount. So let's say that your weekly benefit amount is $400 a week. If you were to earn $200 or over, every dollar, it'd be dollar per dollar would be deducted after 50%. So if you receive $201, then it would deduct $1 from your weekly benefit amount. Also, if you were to go over your weekly benefit amount for that week, it would put a stop on your claim. And another thing that we're going to go over too is the dependent amounts do not fall into this formula. But if you do make over your weekly benefit amount for the week in question, you will not receive a dependent amount. So this is what I had just gone over with you. Now, an additional claim. So say that you do work for a few weeks and you get laid off again. So what you'd want to do the week in which you get laid off and you're going to make under your benefit amount is you want to open an additional claim for that week. And you can do that online as well, because remember, you're not going to start receiving credit for the weeks in question until you actually have an open claim. So I would say the week in which you were laid off, you would open an additional claim, and you're going to have to report information on that employer and the reason for layoff. And like I said before, your dependent allowance is only payable if your benefits are payable for that week. Direct deposits or debit card. Like I said, we strongly strongly prefer that you do use direct deposit. It's a lot easier. Sometimes a debit card is, I've known cases where people have a hard time making certain purchases with the debit card, and direct deposit is not so much the case. Usually when you certify, you receive your benefits approximately 2 to 3 business days after the date of certification. And you will, like I said, you will receive a debit card in the mail after you open your claim, but you do not have to activate that. Also, another thing you want to keep in mind too is that unemployment is taxed, but you have the option to have your taxes taken out up front or to pay them later. So this is what we had gone over in the previous portions of the webinar about WIOA. So this, you'd definitely be eligible. So I would check that information sooner than later. Illinois Job Link. So Illinois Job Link is The website that I told you that you have to register for, it's a requirement because if you do not register for Illinois JobLink, it would stop your unemployment. And it's internet applications available anytime, anywhere. And if you need to, you can definitely go into the local office and they can show you how to do Illinois JobLink. There's a lot of tutorials and stuff online that you could use, but sometimes it can be a little difficult the first time using Illinois JobLink. So I got a question from Jacqueline about what about those who live out of state. If you live out of state, your wages are still through Illinois, so you would be collecting through Illinois. If you've worked in more than one state, then it would be a combined wage claim, and in that case, you could possibly open it through Indiana. You would receive different benefit amounts based in that case alone in the state in which you're living. So if you're like in Indiana and you have wages in Indiana and Illinois, that would be a combined wage state. If you're living in Indiana and all your wages are in Illinois, that would be a direct Illinois claim. I hope that answered that question. Okay, this is what the first page will look like in Illinois JobLink. So you'd create a username and a password, and you're also going to create a hint. So if you ever do forget it, which a lot of people do forget their password, you can always use that security question. Again, like I said, it's no cost to users. It's also no cost to employers, which is good because employers can actually, they use it for free, so they like that. Also, they can do reverse searches too. So if they're trying to find people with certain skill sets, they can actually go through like your resume, and they might even reach out to you. Also, at IDES, when we're doing, if we have a job order, sometimes we'll actually look through them as well, and we could pull your information if we see a job that we think that you would be a good fit for, and we can send that information to the employer. So there's several ways that this works to your advantage, and since you have to sign up for it, you can sign up for it today as well. You don't have to wait to your last day, and it would help you to kind of get used to the system. Okay, so that's actually the last slide. I thought for some reason I was thinking there was another slide, but if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. And you have my email address there as well, so I could definitely get back to you through my email. It's jeffreyrudier@illinois.gov, and it's should be in the right-hand corner. But thank you for your time, and I wish all of you the best of luck.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We have come to the conclusion of the webinar today for CoStar. We really appreciate you registering and participating today and your attention, and hope that it's been very, very resourceful and informational to you. We would like to direct you to the Illinois WorkNet website. Obviously, there's a lot of information you received today. All that information is available on Illinois WorkNet. You can access that information. The links will be there. And we want to wish you the best of luck in your job search. We also, the one thing I wanted to mention as well is if you can complete the online dislocated worker survey. Chelsea Jones has placed that information there, so if you can do that for us, that would be great. And we look forward to having you as our clients and helping you move on to the road of reemployment. So thank you again, and you all have a good day.